An outrageous statement by the Republican Speaker of the House in Mississippi illustrates how pro-life really just means forced birth. I do also just want to insert a quick trigger warning here. This video will talk about SA in depth, so if that's a subject that upsets you, I totally understand. Feel free to navigate away from this video. But for now, let's play the clip.
I believe life begins at conception, and every life is valuable, and those are my personal beliefs.
So that 12-year-old child was molested by her father or uncle should carry that child to her with that trauma.
That is my personal belief. I believe life begins at conception.
It's rare when someone so high up in the Republican Party says the quiet part out loud like this. It's wild how someone can claim the pro-life label while also being in favor of forcing girls as young as 12 years old to birth the babies sired by their rapists. Let's get into Philip Gunn really quick. I actually used to cover the Mississippi legislature for Mississippi Public Broadcasting back in 2009 and 2010. This is who Philip Gunn really is. He actually believes this stuff. But the depravity of Philip Gunn actually goes a lot deeper. Back in 2019, journalist Ashton Pittman reported that Philip Gunn had been made the national chairman of the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. For folks who aren't aware, ALEC is known as a corporate bill mill. It's an unholy alliance of state lawmakers, mostly Republican, and corporate lobbyists who meet at lavish resorts every year and draft model legislation that can then be introduced in state houses all over the country that does everything from cut taxes for the rich, to restrict abortion, to restricting voting rights. The founder of ALEC, Paul Weirich, was famous for a quote in which he said,
"I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down."
So yeah, Philip Gunn is the national chairman of that group. Now, what Philip Gunn is suggesting is that we go back to a really, really dark time in our country when children had basically no rights. Courtney Thompson, an assistant professor of history at Mississippi State University, posted a lengthy thread detailing some of these really jaw-dropping, horrifying stories of little girls who were forced to give birth to their rapist children. In some cases, these little girls were also victims of incest. You can read the thread yourself if you can stomach it. There's lots of really horrible stories. This is the past that Philip Gunn wants to take people back to in Mississippi. And it's just heartbreaking that children in the Magnolia State can't even count on their elected officials to keep them safe. And I doubt that Philip Gunn really grasps the concept of life actually beginning at conception. Does he celebrate his birthday on the day he was born or the day he was conceived? Does he think pregnant people have the right to take out life insurance on their fetus and collect if they miscarry? Maybe Philip Gunn wants child support to begin at conception instead of birth. Or how about citizenship starting at conception? There was a viral post that went around not long after the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned by the Supreme Court last week. It's a story about an embryo that was frozen for 27 years before being transferred to the uterus of a 28-year-old woman who then gave birth to a baby. One thing people pointed out is that you can't put a baby in a freezer for 27 years because it would die. You can do that with an embryo because it's not alive. This is not a difficult concept. And that's to say nothing of quote-unquote pro-life politicians in the Republican Party who won't lift a finger for working moms to have baby formula, or access to food stamps, or Medicaid, or adequate public schools for their children, or who won't do anything about our epidemic of mass shootings across the country. Don't get it twisted. Being pro-forced birth doesn't mean you're pro-life. It actually means the opposite. If you want more breaking news and analysis like this, make sure you like and subscribe to the Really American YouTube channel. I'm Carl Gibson with Really American Media.